I have good news from the year 2358. Rulebooks have been completely abolished. Turns out in the future, no one has time for that kind of thing. So rip that thing to shreds and toss it right out of your Hovercone. I'm Ryan from How I Roll, and in this Rip Up the Rules, I'm going to teach you how to set up and play Wayne Barlow's Orbitstar, Expedition to Darwin IV, so you can pilot your Hovercone across an alien world, discover uncharted species, and earn more reputation than any scientist in the fleet. Orbitstar is designed by Bobby Hill and published by Arkus Games. It's an adventure game for 1 to 4 players that plays in about an hour and a half. There's always room at the table for you, so hit that subscribe button and come grab a seat or a Hovercone and let's get into it. It's the year 2358 and humanity has landed on Darwin IV, a distant exoplanet teeming with bizarre alien life that has never encountered a human before. As a scientist ascending to the surface in your sealed Hovercone, you'll explore the planet's various biomes, track down its strange creatures, and earn a reputation by reporting your findings back to the EMA, the benevolent alien race who helped us get here. The scientist with the most reputation at the end of the game wins. Think you've got what it takes to be the greatest explorer in an alien world? Let's find out. Here's how you set up the game. Place the main board in the center of the table. Build the planet event draw pile by separating the planet event cards into their A and B backs. Shuffle the B cards face down onto their space on the board, then shuffle the A cards and place them face down on top. Now it's time to organize the biomes. Separate all species cards by their card backs. Find the Amoebic Sea species card and place it face up in the innermost bay of the Amoebic Sea and Littoral Zone biome. Then shuffle each remaining biome species cards into their own face down draw pile alongside the board, including these 2 special species cards in their own pile. Reveal 1 random planet setup card. The top indicates which 2 biomes receive a face-up species card added from the top of their draw pile. So in this case, I place 1 tundra card in the northern tundra biome and 1 forest and periphery card in its matching biome. If I was setting up for 4 players, I'd also add a card to the southern grasslands and plains, but since I'm setting up for 3 players, I skip this. Return all of the planet setup cards to the box. Shuffle the biome event cards face down onto their space on the board. Then place all planet event markers, damage dice, and EMA research discs in a supply alongside the board. Sort the action tokens by color into the main supply by the board as well. And now for player setup. Have each player choose a color and take the following: a player board in front of them, a player aid, and their Hovercone, which starts upright in the blue Orbitstar section of the main board. Place your 4 upgrade trackers in the leftmost space of each upgrade track on your player board. Place your reputation marker on the 0 space of the reputation track. Place 3 hull strength markers in the hull strength action of your player board and 2 more on the indicated spaces of your hull upgrade track. Place 9 research discs on the advanced study profiles of your player board and keep your remaining 11 as your personal supply beside your board. Now take the bag in your player color. Gain the following action tokens: 12 basic, 1 observation, 1 piloting, 1 scanning, 1 evasion, and 2 wild tokens. And then place all of these in your draw bag. Your player board has a reminder of these numbers right here. And then randomly determine a first player and give them the first player marker. Lay all 4 player setup cards face up where everyone can see them. Randomly place 1 special action tile with side A facing up beside each card to form 4 pairs of cards. Starting with the player to the right of the first player and moving counterclockwise, each player picks 1 pair and slots their special action tile into the bottom of their player board. Each player removes the 2 research discs listed on their player setup card from their board and places them in their supply. For example, this card says small and fast, so this player would move the small and fast discs. Then everyone adds the listed action token on the card from the main supply to their draw bag. Return all player setup cards and any unused special action tiles to the box. Finally, each player draws 7 action tokens randomly from their draw bag and places them in their available section of their player board. And with that, the expedition is ready. Let's launch. A game of Orbitstar begins with the first player taking their turn, and then turns progressing around the table in clockwise order until 1 player has advanced far enough on the reputation track to trigger the end game. This is a game where the turn structure is simple, but there are big decisions to be made. So get your brain ready to do some heavy lifting. But before we get into turns, let me cover 2 core concepts that everything else in this game builds on: action tokens and biomes. Action tokens are the heartbeat of Orbitstar. There are 6 colors, each representing a different scientific skill. White basic tokens handle general navigation. Blue observation tokens track species across environments. Yellow piloting tokens cut through difficult terrain. Orange scanning tokens locate creatures even when hidden. Red evasion tokens deal with dangerous encounters, and purple wild tokens count as any color, but they're only a one-time use. More on that in a moment. At any point during your turn, tokens on your player board exist in one of 3 states: Available means they're ready to spend in order to take actions. Utilized means you've already spent them on an action this turn and they can't be used. And exhausted means they're fully used up and unavailable until you refresh them. Most actions require you to move specific tokens from available to utilized. That's called utilizing them. Seems obvious. Most actions will have specific colored tokens that are required, and many will have this icon that means you can utilize one of any color. At the end of your turn, all utilized tokens move to exhausted and stay there until a rest action or returning to Orbitstar brings them back. Purple wild tokens skip exhausted entirely. Once they've been utilized, they go straight back to the main supply, so spend them wisely. Action tokens still in your bag aren't in play and can't be used, but you're free to look inside your bag and see what tokens you own at any point. Now onto the biomes. Darwin IV is divided into 5 biomes on the main board: grasslands and plains, which are both in the north and the south, forests and periphery, the amoebic sea and littoral zone, mountains, and tundra, which is also divided into north and south. Each biome has a series of bays that hold species cards, the alien creatures you'll be discovering and studying throughout the game. Each biome also has 2 zones that matter every single turn: an arrival zone where your hovercone lands whenever you enter that biome, and an explore zone where the actual science happens. Moving from one to the other is a key part of how a turn plays out. And now that that's out of the way, here's how a turn works. Each turn goes through these 4 steps: progress planet events, take up to 3 actions, exhaust all utilized tokens, and resolve your biome. Let me break down each one for you right now, starting with step 1, progress planet events. At the start of every turn, Darwin IV throws something at you through its planet event system. Think of it as a conveyor belt of planetary chaos moving across the top of the main board. The top half of each of these cards is an effect that occurs when the card arrives, and the bottom half is an effect that's triggered when the card leaves, and the symbol in the middle is the biome that it affects. First, if a card is sitting on the 4th and final space, move it to the discard pile and resolve the effect on the bottom half of the card. This won't happen in the first 4 turns of the game since there won't be a card there yet. Then slide all remaining cards 1 space to the right and finally reveal the top card from the planet event draw pile. Place it on the first space and resolve the effect on the top half. There are 5 types of planet events spread across these cards, and here's what they all are. When a storm arrives in a biome, it places a storm marker there, and any action you take in that biome other than piloting out and leaving will force you to roll 1 damage die. When the storm leaves, you remove the storm marker from that biome. Alien hunters work the exact same way as a storm, but they're worse. This marker forces 2 damage dice to be rolled for any in-biome action you take, and when they exit in the 4th space, they roll 1 more die, and if it hits, they take out this innermost species card of that biome and return it to the bottom of the deck. If this happens, each player gains 1 reputation for each research disc they had on that species card, if any, and return their discs to their personal supply. One exception is that this event never takes out the amoebic sea. In either case, remove the alien hunter marker from that biome. The fuel pod event adds a fuel pod to the indicated biome. Anytime a player is in that biome, they can spend an action to return the fuel pod to the supply in order to recover exhausted action tokens or hull strength. We'll circle back to this a bit later. When this event leaves play, if the fuel pod is still there, roll 1 damage die. If it hits, the fuel pod is removed. If it's a miss, it stays in play. The stranded hovercone is also a helpful event that adds a stranded hovercone to the biome. A player there can spend an action to rescue it, which we'll also cover later. When this event leaves, simply remove the hovercone if it hasn't been rescued and it's still in the biome. And finally, when a species discovery event arrives, draw the top card of the indicated biome species deck and place it in the innermost available bay and place 1 EMA research disc on the leftmost study node, which are these bottom circles of that species card. If there aren't any spots available when this event occurs, just skip this effect. When this event card leaves play, place 1 EMA research disc on the leftmost study node of each species card in that biome. In addition to these main events, there are 2 special planet event cards that can appear that each introduce a new species. When one of these is revealed, remove it from the game and grab the special species that was indicated on it. Then reveal the next planet event card and add that species to the innermost available bay of that biome. If that biome is full, move to the next available biome in clockwise order around the table, and then resolve the new planet event card that was just revealed. That was a fair amount of info, but this step is fairly smooth once you have the icons down, and some of it touched on concepts that we haven't covered yet, like study nodes and rescuing a hovercone, but one thing I want to explain right now is the damage dice, which feature both hit symbols and blank miss symbols. Various effects in the game will make you roll these dice. If you're rolling them for a personal effect, each hit rolled causes you to remove 1 hull strength marker from your hull strength area to your damage section. Anytime you need to roll dice because of an action, completely finish your action first and then roll and resolve them. If you ever remove your final hull strength marker, your hovercone becomes stranded, which I'll explain later. Now it's on to step 2, where all the action takes place. During this action, you can take up to 3 actions, and you have 9 possible actions to choose from, and they're all nicely laid out on this player aid card. These actions can be taken in any order, and most can be repeated. So buckle up, because I'm going to blast us through all of these actions right now, starting with action A, pilot from Orbitstar to a biome. If you're starting your turn on the Orbitstar, you can descend to any biome on Darwin IV for free. This action never requires any action tokens. Simply place your Hovercone into that biome's arrival zone. Easy. Now for action B, pilot between biomes. While in a biome on Darwin IV, you can fly to an adjacent biome by utilizing the specific action tokens shown on the arrows pointing from your biome to any desired destination. For example, since I'm in the southern grasslands and plains, I could follow any of these arrows to move to the southern tundra, forests and periphery, mountains, or amoebic sea and littoral zone by paying the indicated cost. I think I'll utilize 1 blue token and 1 red in order to pilot to the forests and periphery. Your Hovercone always lands in the arrival zone of the new biome. And as a special feature of piloting between biomes, you can also optionally perform the detect echolocation action in that new biome, spending the additional required tokens while you're at it. Speaking of which, that brings us to action C, detect echolocation. While in a biome, you can scan for creatures. Look to the innermost empty bay of the biome that you're in and utilize the depicted action tokens to reveal the top card of that biome's deck and place the card there. Immediately put 1 research disc from your supply on the discovery node in the top right corner. That disc is your flag in the ground and your way to flex on everyone that you made this important discovery. It counts as yours when the card is eventually completed. If all bays in the biome are full, you can't perform the detect action there. And now action D is study a species. This is the core of the game and where most of your reputation will come from. While your Hovercone is in a biome, you can study any species card that's been located there. Each species card shows study profiles, such as general, flying, nervous, and others that match these 9 profiles on your player board. You can choose which species you want to study in your biome, as well as any profile on it that still has at least 1 open study node, and spend the corresponding action tokens listed on your player board by placing them into one of your 2 study circles that doesn't already have tokens in it. For example, if I wanted to study this super cute keeled slider, I could either study the concealed or general profile. I think I'll stick with the general, which requires these 3 action tokens. I'll place the 1 blue and 1 white here, and I'll use 1 more white for this optional cost. I then take 1 research disc from my supply and place it on the leftmost available space of the general study profile. Once you have that down, it's actually fairly straightforward. There are a few extra rules to note here. First of all, at any point during the game, you can substitute action tokens for a particular color that you need at a rate of 2 to 1. So I could trade these 2 sheep for this 1 piece of ore. Wait a second. What I meant to say is if I needed an orange for an action, I could trade in this white and this red to make it happen. You can do this anytime you want and even multiple times on the same action, with the exception of special actions which you can't substitute for. We'll cover those in just a bit. Also, as cool as the substitution ability is, you get a bonus if you study without doing any substitutions. So if you pay using all 3 of the correct color action tokens, and this includes not using wild purple tokens to replace other colors, you get to place an additional research disc which can go on the same profile you studied or a different one. You'll also notice that on your player board, there are 2 spaces for each of your study profile actions. The left ones are the basic version of that action, and the ones on the right are advanced. Each player begins the game with 2 advanced actions unlocked, and you'll be able to unlock more throughout the game. If you perform the advanced version, you can place 2 research discs into that study profile if there's space. These advanced actions also qualify for the bonus if you don't use substitutions or purple wilds, allowing you to place a 3rd disc, and this 3rd one, again, can be placed into any profile on that species. Also, some of the study nodes on species have immediate bonuses. Whenever you cover this symbol, you move up 1 space on the reputation track. This icon gives you an additional action for this turn, and this one allows you to move an action token from exhausted to available on your board. Just remember that you can always study any species in your biome, and you can study any of that species profiles, but the nodes in that profile have to be filled from left to right, which makes the timing of these bonuses trickier to get. And finally, some species have this icon in their top right corner indicating that they're an aggressive species, kind of like a dad in the morning before he gets his coffee. Anytime you study an aggressive species on any of its profiles, you have to roll 1 die, risking damage being done to your Hovercone. Remember to finish your action completely before rolling this. That was a lot of info, so let me show you an example. I want to study this bladderhorn because, well, I think its name is awesome. I can either study its general profile or its aggressive profile. Since I have the advanced version of General unlocked, I think I'll do that. And what's even better is that I have the right action tokens so I can qualify for the bonus. I take 1 white and 2 blues from my available area and put them in the study circle. Since it's the advanced version, I put 2 research discs from my supply on the 2 leftmost spaces of the General profile. And my bonus lets me place an extra one which could go in the General or the aggressive profile. Since the aggressive profile offers a bonus, I'll place it there and I'm awarded with an extra action on this turn. Okay, that was a big action and the remaining 4 are much smaller. But before we move on to those, I want to pause and explain a few other important concepts. First off, since we just covered the study action, I want to cover completing a species card. The moment every profile node on a species card is filled with a research disc, complete it immediately. Every player with at least 1 disc on that card gains 1 reputation per disc they have there, including in the discovery node. Each card has 2 rewards listed on the right side. The player with the most discs gains both of these rewards, and all other players with at least 1 disc on this card chooses one of the 2 rewards to gain. All research discs are returned to their respective supplies, and the player who had the most discs places the species card beside their player board. Finally, slide the remaining species card in that biome inward to fill the gap if one was created. When determining majorities on these cards, ties are resolved like this. If the current player is one of the tied players, they win. If not, the tied player with the leftmost research disc on the card wins. Also, you should know that the EMA compete for species cards too. EMA research discs are placed on species cards by certain planet events and biome events throughout the game, which can be helpful in some ways, but if the EMA end up with more discs on a species card than any player when it's completed, no player earns the double reward or the card. It's simply removed from the game. So it's worth keeping an eye on how many EMA discs are accumulating on a species card you're invested in. Let me give you a breakdown of the rewards that are available on these cards. This reward allows you to upgrade one of your white action tokens to the indicated color. This white token can come from anywhere on your board or even in your draw bag. This allows you to gain 1 new action token of any color except purple and place it in your bag. This reward lets you remove 1 research disc from an advanced study action and place it in your supply, both giving you access to that new action and increasing your supply by 1. And these 4 bonuses allow you to upgrade your Hovercone tracks according to the matching icon. For example, this icon allows you to move your power upgrade track marker 1 space to the right. Most of the numbers above and below these markers will matter later, but anytime your marker lands on a space with a bonus on it, you gain it immediately. This icon we've seen before, and it allows you to move up to that many tokens from your exhausted area to your available area. When you land on one of these hull strength markers, you immediately gain it to the damaged area of your player board. And when you advance onto one of these spaces, you take 2 purple action tokens and add them to your bag. Like I said, most of the rest of the icons on these tracks matter later, but let me quickly explain the icons on the engine upgrade track. This is the Echolocation icon, and once your marker has reached this space, the cost of this action is reduced by 1 token. And at this level, you draw 2 cards when performing the Detect Echolocation action, choosing 1 to discover, and you return the other to the bottom of the deck. And at this tier, whenever you roll damage dice, you can optionally re-roll 1 of them, and being here allows you to re-roll up to 2 dice each turn. While we're at it, you'll also notice that as you advance on the reputation track, there are some bonuses as well. We've already covered this icon, which gives you a new action token of your choice to your bag. But this icon here grants you the opportunity to upgrade one of your 4 Hovercone tracks of your choice by moving its marker 1 space to the right. I wanted to cover the upgrade bonuses because those have a big impact on action E, which is rest. When you're running low on tokens, rest is how you regroup and get ready for more action. When you rest, you perform the following steps. First, you draw tokens from your draw bag into your available section until there are as many there as listed on your current control level. And before you begin drawing, you can choose to move any non-purple action tokens from your available area to utilized if you want. For example, I have 3 tokens in my available area and my control track limit is currently 9. Before I draw, I'll move this white token to utilize, so I would draw 7 more to bring my total available up to 9. Then you may also move some exhausted tokens back to available based on your power track position, so in this scenario I would move 1 back. Next, you repair hull strength based on your hull track. So in this situation, I would move 2 hull strength markers from my damage area to my hull strength area. And now for action F, where you get to be a noble citizen and rescue a stranded Hovercone. Following this illustration here, if there's a stranded Hovercone event marker in your biome, or a stranded player Hovercone that's laying on its side, utilize any 3 action tokens to rescue it. You gain 3 reputation and unlock a research disc from one of your advanced study profiles. If this was a stranded Hovercone event marker, simply return it to the supply. However, if this was a player-stranded Hovercone, you additionally gain a purple action token to your available section. The player then stands up their Hovercone and recovers 1 hull strength. And they should probably write you a thank you card. Action G allows you to use a fuel pod. Remember the planet event cards that place fuel pods in biomes? Well, if there's one in your biome, spend an action to claim it and return the marker to the supply. You choose one of 2 rewards. Either recover tokens based on your power track by moving up to this many tokens from exhausted to available, or fully restore all of your hull strength. A real treat when you need it. Now, Action H is where you return to Orbitstar. Heading back up to the Orbitstar is one of the most strategic decisions, and it immediately ends your turn. Any remaining actions you had for this turn are gone. When you return to Orbitstar, you recycle all tokens back into your draw bag, perform a rest action, and claim a requisition. Here are the steps you follow. First, return any purple action tokens from utilized to the main supply. Then, return all other utilized and exhausted action tokens to your draw bag. Return all purple action tokens in your available section to your draw bag and move any others there to exhausted. Once you've done all of that, you perform a rest action exactly like we went over earlier. And lastly, you claim a requisition, which are end-game scoring bonuses that only you will cash in on. Every time you return to Orbitstar, you take one of your research discs and place it on an unclaimed requisition, and it will remain there for the rest of the game. This isn't an optional action. There are a few simple rules for this. First, only 1 disc can be on each requisition, so once a player has claimed one, no one else can claim it. Also, a player can only claim 3 of these throughout the course of the game. If you return to Orbitstar and you already have 3 requisitions claimed, you have to place a disc in the excess markers area, which will lose you points at the end of the game. Like I said, these all offer unique endgame scoring bonuses, so I'll cover what they all mean when we get to final scoring. And finally, thanks for sticking with me because we've made it to Action I, use a special action. Your special action tile gives you 5 colored special actions, each costing only 1 token of the matching color. 4 of these are the same for everyone, but the purple one is unique. Placing a blue here fills any one node on a species card in your current biome. Yellow pilots you to an adjacent biome, ignoring the usual travel cost. Orange detects echolocation in one of the 2 innermost bays of your biome for free. Red ignores all threats for this turn and repairs 1 hull strength. And the purple action will either fill 2 general nodes, do a super detect echolocation action, fly you to any biome, or repair all of your shields. Just remember that this is the one action where you can't substitute 2 tokens for 1. You have to match the exact color, but you can still use purple to fill in for any other color. And since these action tokens fill the spot on your special action tile, you can only take each of them once in a turn. And those are all the actions. So let's quickly recap. Every turn kicks off with the planet event conveyor belt shifting. Then you take up to 3 actions from the available 9 in any order you'd like, utilizing action tokens as necessary. After those 2 phases, it's on to phase 3. Exhaust all utilized tokens. It's as easy as it sounds. Move all action tokens from your utilized area to your exhausted area, remembering to return purple tokens to the main supply. Talk about easy. Now for step 4, resolve your biome. If your Hovercone is on the Orbitstar, skip this step entirely. If it's in an arrival zone, it simply moves to the explore zone of the same biome. However, if your Hovercone is in an explore zone, you must reveal the top biome event card and follow its instructions for your current biome. Biome events represent lingering for too long in one spot, and they're never good news. They usually require exhausting specific tokens or suffering damage as a penalty, though some reveal new species cards as a consolation. For example, since I'm in the Explorer zone of the mountain, I resolve this part of the event card. The Alpine draft says that I have to move to the forest and periphery and exhaust 1 yellow action token or take 1 damage. Once resolved, the card goes to the bottom of the pile. After phase 4, check if the endgame has been triggered. If any player's reputation marker has reached or passed the indicated space for your player count on the reputation track, finish the current round, and then everyone takes 1 final full turn, making sure that all players have an equal number of turns. For example, since I'm currently playing a 3-player game, if any player was on or beyond this spot, the end of the game would be triggered. If it hasn't been triggered, continue taking turns as normal until it has been. Before we get to the end of the game, there's one final thing I need to explain. If you ever have to remove your final hull marker because you've taken too much damage, your Hovercone has become stranded and you lay it on its side. It's quite sad, and your turn ends immediately. But don't worry, this gives all other players an opportunity to rescue you, and you get a chance to find out how good of friends you really have. We already covered how someone can rescue you, which results in your Hovercone standing back up with 1 hull strength being restored. However, if no one rescues you, at the beginning of your next turn, After you resolve the planet event as normal, you do the following. Stand your Hovercone back up. Return all utilized and exhausted action tokens to your draw bag. Return all purple tokens in your available section to your draw bag and the rest of the available tokens to the exhausted area. Then perform a rest action as normal. Now place one research disc from your supply in the excess markers section in the requisitions area, and then continue your turn as normal by carrying out 3 actions. And now here's what it all comes down to. Once the game end has been triggered and the final round is complete, it's time for players to calculate their scores. Here's how it works. In addition to the reputation you've already gained on the reputation track, you add the following. 1 reputation for every 2 research discs you have on an incomplete species on Darwin IV, rounded up. 1 reputation per aggressive species card you've collected is symbolized here. Reputation from your claimed requisitions, and -3 reputation for each research disc you have in the excess markers section. But Ryan, you forgot to explain how the requisitions score. I didn't forget. I was just testing you to see if you'd remember. These 3 leftmost columns all award reputation for the species cards you've collected by the end of the game. Each of these give you 2 reputation for each of that particular node bonus present on your cards. Going here awards you reputation for collecting species from unique biomes. The more the better. Notice that there are 2 spaces available to claim this requisition. This space is only available in a 3 or 4 player game. And the same player is not allowed to claim both of these spots. That would just be greedy. These spaces offer 1 reputation for every node on your cards that relate to that specific study field type, except for general, which is 1 reputation for every 2 nodes. This total is rounded up. This column offers 2 reputation for each upgrade level you've achieved on a particular track, or reputation for each advanced study profile you've unlocked, including your initial 2 that you started the game with. And each of these awards you reputation for each token you have of that color remaining in your draw bag and on your player board. Purple tokens don't count toward this. Here's an example of how this could all go down. At the end of the game, I had 27 reputation. I have 3 research discs on incomplete species, which I round up to 4 to give me 2 more reputation. I have 3 aggressive species cards, which gains me 3 more reputation. This requisition gives me 2 reputation for each of these icons, so I gain 6 more. For this requisition, I have a total of 7 nodes that are small or fast, so I get 7 reputation. And since I've upgraded my power track 2 times, this requisition gives me 4 more. Unfortunately, this disc here cost me 3 reputation, so I end up with a final score of 46. The scientist with the most reputation wins and is hailed as the greatest explorer of Darwin IV, while the other players have to go spend some quality time with the leftover aggressive species. If it's a tie, the player with the most collected species cards wins. If still tied, whoever scored the most reputation from requisitions takes it. And if there's still a tie, all tied players share the glory. And that's Orbitstar Expedition to Darwin IV, without even glancing at a rulebook. There's also a full solo mode included in the game, which you will still need the rulebook for, and you can read all about it right here. I hope you have a fantastic time out on Darwin IV and that this video helps you get rolling. If anything's unclear or you have a question, drop a comment below and you'll hear right back from me. I've linked the Board Game Geek page for Orbitstar in the description below, along with the Arkus Games website where you can learn even more. Thanks so much for watching another installment of Rip Up the Rules.